is on the line as India and Australia lock horns in Adelaide. One last time, this draw heads to South Australia with Aaron Finch as Australia leading this ODI series 1-0. They've won already. An important toss at the Adelaide Oval, decided to bat first, so it's more of the same from Australia and just the one change from India. Looking ahead to that second ODI, this is ESPN Cricinfo Matchday presented by Maruti Suzuki. I'm Raunak Kapoor. Ajit Agarkar, fond memories of Adelaide as always, enjoys the city but wouldn't necessarily enjoy bowling first, perhaps on what looks like a belter of a track.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, India don't mind chasing usually. I mean, if they're top three fire, they can chase down
Kohli
anything.
did say he would have batted first as well.
Yeah, I did.
Understandably.
But just because I think he's a little bit worried about his middle order and his sort of longish tail.
Yeah.
But if they restrict Australia to what they did the other night, I think India will fancy themselves chasing that 280.
Brad Hodge is here as well. Let's see which beautiful part of Australia he shows us today. He's not at home, neither is he at the ground. Hodgie, good to have you.
Yeah, good to be here, and it's amazing how well those graphics displayed Adelaide. I've never even seen half of those things. But what I do know is that centre wicket in the middle of that Adelaide Oval looks absolutely fantastic and should be a good showpiece for a pretty competitive game.
Normally you would think India wouldn't mind a chase even if the opposing captain wins and bats first, but is there a nervousness after the last game has yet again revealed the same sort of questions and problems we've been talking about for a while with this Indian team?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to judge them on one game. You want to see how someone like a Raidu plays,
Through the course of the series.
Yeah, give him a few games. MS Dhoni struggled a little bit. Dinesh Karthik. So that is an obvious worry for Virat Kohli, that the top three don't fire, and Rohit got 130 and India still didn't chase 288. So it is a worry. So for the longest time over the last 2-3 years, India has fancied themselves chasing any sort of target down. So have a look, it's a good pitch. I still, on paper, India is the better team. If they play to their potential, they should win.
Okay, they have made one change though as the Indian team. There was question on whether there'd be room for Kedar Jadhav if they wanted the extra bowling option. Ambati Raidu, after 2 innocuous overs, has been reported for a suspect action already. Mohammad Siraj comes in, out goes Khalil Ahmed. So it's a debut for the right arm seamer. No changes elsewhere, but Ravindra Jadeja continues to keep his spot. And of course, in the absence of Hardik Pandya, there is no room for Yuzvendra Chahal, the leg spinner, either. Siraj for Khalil, you like the selection?
Yeah, sometimes it's a bit harsh after one game to leave somebody out, and someone who's not played cricket for a while can take you a little bit of time, but the series is on the line, and Siraj has been picked because of his good form that he's shown, whether for India A or in domestic cricket, and he has the tools to sort of succeed in the shorter format. Can bowl well at the end of the innings. It's going to be tough, first game in international cricket, but he has that wicket-taking ability which India would do well with. So I don't mind the change, as much as it can feel harsh on Khalil. I don't mind the change.
Happens often, batsmen can't chase 280, but you'll change, first change will be for a fast bowler.
Always. Yeah, but I in this instance, I don't mind it. I think Khalil looked a little bit off the other night, whether it was not having played enough cricket or it's just one of those things. But Siraj is a very promising prospect.
All right, Australia make no changes to their team on what is considered to be a flattish sort of pitch. Haji, would you have liked to see the wrist spin option deployed, or is this series about giving Nathan Lyon another induction into or another initiation into one-day cricket, so you persist with him? Thoughts on the team?
Yeah, well, I would have liked to see Adam Zampa coming. I would have liked to see Adam Zampa actually start the series. I think he's been an underrated achiever for Australian in their one-day international successes. But I think this must be a recipe of Nathan Lyon trying to come in and see if they can actually, operate with two spinners in the World Cup. I think there might be this fascination that you need to have two good spinners. We've never really had, we're reluctant to even play one these days, let alone have two. So I think it's a really important initiation for Nathan Lyon to get right, because I still think that Zampa, has performed really, really well when he gets opportunities, and he seems to be the one that disappears in and out of the side more than anyone.
10 overs for 50 last game for Nathan Lyon. What did you make of his return to one-day cricket?
I just thought, he bowled at a really good time, actually. India were in trouble, and I thought that you know, if you had a quality leg spinner in there, I think he may have caused Dhoni and Rohit more troubles than he looked. They really looked pretty comfortable against him. And it is a different style of bowling when you're bowling one-day cricket compared to Test match cricket, and he probably deserves an opportunity. He's been successful in the Test match series. However, I think that Adam Zampa has caused issues before to the Indian batsmen. I think that would have been a good selection. So, I thought they played him pretty comfortably. So when you go for 50 off 10, when they're actually not trying to attack you, is a bit of an issue.
If you would be fair to say, if you'd have asked maybe Dhoni or Rohit or any Indian batsman, you'd rather play Zampa in the middle or Nathan Lyon, they might pick the finger spin over the wrist.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think they were okay. At the start of his spell, sort of he kept the run rate down, but eventually gave 50 in that spell. So, like Bat said, it's the time that he came on to bowl, it was a nice time to come and still not got that breakthrough. There's no doubt Indians would prefer a finger spinner over a wrist spinner. They've had some issues at times, and it's obviously with two right-handers in with a wrist spinner, there's always a little bit of a risk, taking him down with the run rate climbing. So, but again, one game is not something that you should pass a judgment on anyone, really.
Okay, but are we passing judgment on India's middle order after one game? Perhaps not, because we have seen this tale told all too familiarly in the last year or so. So let's have a larger conversation around India's middle order. And once again, there is the opportunity for them to chase a significant amount of runs if this flat pitch yields the kind of result that Australia would want after winning the toss. Lots being said about MS Dhoni's approach in the last game, batting position, also the personnel in Dinesh Karthik coming straight into the 11 after missing the last series without a Kedar Jadhav. Do India sometimes keep going back to the same sort of things to try and figure the ideal combination, or is this just a result of no Hardik Pandya, things have to be changed around? What's the ideal way you'd like for India?
I mean, Hardik Pandya not being there obviously spoils the balance because he's a seam bowling all-rounder, which then affords you to play Chahal as well, which makes India's attack formidable. They're already missing Bumrah, who's been rested, so those are big holes to fill. But Dinesh Karthik, I don't quite understand. He wasn't part of the one-day squad in recent times. Rishabh Pant, I mean, you've seen what Rishabh Pant can do.
Yeah.
He hasn't played enough one-day cricket to say that he's not good enough in one-day cricket. Someone who goes away from India and does as well as he has in Test cricket. He's got the game to succeed.
I believe the chief selector said he was only rested because after this.
I'm not sure what a 19-year-old, how much rest a 19-year-old needs unless he's carrying a niggle or there is some sort of an issue with his fitness, which is bizarre really with the World Cup around the corner. You could rest him in the IPL, but clearly that doesn't happen. So why would you rest someone in international games? Sometimes it's like I said, unless he's carrying a niggle. I know it's been a long series, but he's hardly played in one-day cricket before this in India. So there's been enough rest. So it's strange. I mean, you've got 13 games before the World Cup. When are you going to play him? He's played two one-day games. So to say that he's been rested is a bit silly.
So he would be the preferred batting option for you. Forget second wicket-keeper or wicket-keeping option. He would be the preferred batting option. He's not in this squad, but if Kedar Jadhav and Dinesh Karthik are to be compared, can you say outright that Dinesh Karthik merits a place ahead of Kedar?
I'm not so sure. Not in one-day cricket. Maybe T20 cricket, his performances have been decent, and there's a lot less to do in T20 cricket.
Sure.
You saw in the last game as well. Someone who's as experienced as he is. I'm not sure why they're not playing Kedar Jadhav. Do they think he's not a better player than Dinesh Karthik? Then he shouldn't be in the team.
Yeah.
Because Dinesh Karthik hasn't done anything in one-day cricket and he still plays ahead of Kedar Jadhav. So that's a bit of a surprise. I think that 4-5-6 is a clear worry for India. I mean, as much as Raidu's got runs in India or in the Asia Cup, the jury's still out. I think he'll have to sort of show enough in these next 7 one-days when India travels. Whether he's the right number 4.
There is a huge reliance on the top 3, Hodgie, and that's little to do because of the middle order. The fact is that the top 3 have done the job more often than not. But here we are again having almost the same sort of discussion. The opportunities will come maybe few and far in between with the form Rohit, Shikhar and Virat have. In that situation, do you sympathize that this is a middle order that's not often put under that kind of pressure, or for India to be a real force, they've got to fix this problem, and is the personnel that they've got likely to do that?
Well, I think the joyous thing is that you've got plenty of talented batsmen to choose from. It's just which ones you want to choose and who's in form at this right time. I think your top three has been outstanding, but also you've got unbelievably talented, gifted players who can fill that void at 4, 5, and 6. I'm a bit with Ajit there about Rishabh Pant. I think for me, he'd be third selected in the side fourth actually behind Virat, Rohit, Sharma, and Bumrah. I think he's just an excitement machine. And when you've done well in Australia, certainly in a Test series, you can carry that form through. So it's very difficult, as we know, to come in and just be successful in someone else's backyard. So I'd love to see him get an opportunity. I think that the other thing is there's always pressure on this middle order to perform well, because there's always some talented player that can fill that void. For the Australians at the moment, we haven't got anyone to fill, so there's no pressure. But it's just a matter of finding out the roles and be specific on what you want the roles to be. I think that's the most important thing to get your head around.
I mean, there are very few games left. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd rather give him to say he's been rested is it's a bit bizarre, because he's part of the T20 squad in New Zealand, but not part of the one-day squad. So I think Vijay Shankar's joined the team in Australia, and Shubman Gill in New Zealand. So we might see a couple new guys. But there's not much time left to figure out who your 4, 5, 6 are at the moment, and to be so undecided is not a good thing. I mean, Virat Kohli saying that I would have batted first. I know it's a good pitch, but he's always fancied his chances chasing, and look at his success rate when he's chased. But there's a clear worry when India's chasing at the moment. If the top 3 or 2 of the top 3 get out.
You think at some point that'll start affecting the top 3 too, if continuously 4, 5, and 6?
It hasn't. I think they've been so good.
But there is that little worry, isn't there?
Yeah. Look, Hardik Pandya obviously gives India a lot more teeth than Bumrah. I mean, Bumrah, maybe Australia don't get to 288 the other night, and then the chase becomes a little bit easier if Bumrah's around. But yeah, that 4, 5, 6 needs fixing for sure.
Okay, there's a question that's come for Ajit Agarkar regarding this situation from our YouTube live. So let's have a look at what Vishal Surana wants to know. MSK Prasad said Pant was rested to recover. Why at the age of 20, he's 21 now, does Rishabh Pant, does he need rest? But why Kohli, who's 30 and struggling with the back, doesn't need any rest? Yeah, so I think you've made your point.
I don't not in the current scenario. I mean, unless he's asked for it. The workload's been a lot. Keeping in the test matches, he's batted as well as babysitting apparently. So, yeah, but when is he going to gain the experience if you don't play him? I mean, rest is fine. If you're carrying an injury, but unless you play him, how is he going to know how to bat in different situations in a one-day game? I mean, as good as he's been in Test cricket, 2 innings against West Indies? Don't agree with it at all.
Okay, one more question coming the way of Brad Hodge, and I'm glad that on this lovely Tuesday morning you've decided to tune into the show. Mayur Mehbubani, in the era of teams opting for wrist spin, Adam Zampa deserves a go-ahead on Nathan Lyon purely on the basis of wicket-taking ability. Hodgie?
Well, Mayor, you've answered my question itself. I firmly believe that Adam Zampa should be getting an opportunity to represent his country, and it's one of the things where we always opt for quicks and we always opt for medium paces, and our spinner's the last choice. But we need a spinner to become first choice, and certainly Adam Zampa for me is the one that can certainly do it. He's a wicket taker, and he also creates pressure. He can bowl in any phase of the game, power play, middle overs, and also at the death. So he's a pretty versatile cricketer, and I think they need to get him in the side ASAP.
All right. Well, 33 ODIs for Adam Zampa. Maybe the belief of the Australian team is what you're going to get out of him. Let's see if Nathan Lyon can do the job of that second spinner. And there's Zampa, of course, who's always in contention with white ball cricket. Let's take one more question on this pre-show on ESPN Cricinfo Match Day from Zion 311. Jadhav, significantly better strike rate, better average, and can bowl unlike DK. Astounding. Why are they doing this? Ajit Agarkar is in agony, is Zion.
Yeah, I don't know about his bowling. I mean, when India travel, in Indian conditions, he's been successful, or in the Asia Cup. But yeah, clearly, I mean, again, I might feel harsh about Dinesh Karthik, but I'm not sure why, they keep going back to Dinesh Karthik in one-day cricket.
An average of 42. Just looking at that, strike rate of 107 with 48
Yeah, a lot of those runs would be in India.
Yeah.
But unless you give him an opportunity away from India, Yeah, he should be playing ahead of Dinesh Karthik. I agree.
Alright.
One, he gives you that 6 bowlers option if you need a couple of overs. His action's better than Raidu's. But yeah, strange. It's I'm not sure why Dinesh Karthik is always preferred for some reason.
Okay, the other chat as we close the discussion for now on India's middle order has been perhaps how they bat in and around MS Dhoni. We've been talking about roles and playing situations and whatnot. One interesting thing Rohit Sharma did speak of at the end of the last game, the SCG, was where he would like someone like MS Dhoni to bat, and it seems to be in a different. He doesn't seem to be in agreement with what Virat Kohli thinks MS Dhoni should bat at.
Oh yeah, like today was a different scenario. If you look at his overall batting strike rate, I'm sure it's about 85, 90, around 90, you know. But when he came out to bat today, we already lost 3 wickets, and the guys were bowling pretty well at that point. So we had to respect that spell. Like I said, we wanted to get partnership, and you just can't go and get 100 run partnership that easy. Sometimes you got to grind it out, and you know, and the bowlers are bowling disciplined length. It's not easy for the batters to just go and start hitting. So I think we took a little bit of time. Even myself, I didn't score as quickly as I normally do, but I took my time. It's only because we wanted to get that partnership, and at that point, losing another wicket, the game would have been dead there and then about. So we wanted to make sure that we take the game forward. Hence, you know, we had to play dot balls and make sure that, you know, we respect that spell that those guys were bowling at that point. And I personally always feel that, you know, him batting at number 4 will be ideal for the team. But we've got Raidu, who's done really well now at number 4. So it totally depends on what, you know, the captain and coach thinks about it. Personally asking, yes, I would be happy if he bats at 4.
I actually like the fact that Rohit Sharma gives out his opinion personally in an era where tend to just follow the line or toe the line of the captain and the coach. But MS Dhoni in ODIs, if you just look at positions, now he was tried a couple of years when New Zealand came home a couple of years back when he was trying to figure out what his ideal role is. I think he was still captain that time, but 29 innings at an average of 52, more than satisfactory numbers at number 4. 5 and 6 is where he's played a bulk of his ODI cricket, but I think what we keep forgetting is that this is a very different form of MS Dhoni in this game.
I mean, those numbers are great. Those numbers are going to be great even when he retires, because he's been such a great player for India. But you've got to look at what's happening in the present, and at the moment, you can't keep talking about what position is best for him. You've got to look at what is good for the team eventually. So that is more important. Individuals shouldn't decide where they want to bat or where they are more suited. I think it's what the team needs, and that is how Virat Kohli should decide where he's got to bat. Whether it's 4, 5, 6, it depends on what the team requires, not how suited he is or what suits him, rather his game. So those numbers are not going to change. I mean, the guy has played close to 400 one-day internationals, and he's been a great player in one-day cricket. At the moment, though, he's struggling with his strike rate in particular.
If we are to defend the case of Dhoni because of perhaps the lack of runs even by the others around him in the middle order, would he still merit a place ahead of, say, a Dinesh Karthik, Kedar Jadhav, Ambati Raidu? Is that not as much of a contentious selection? And if India are to reinforce, say, Hardik Pandya and maybe Rishabh Pant at the expense of one of those, then does that batting look better to accommodate MS Dhoni even on merit?
I mean, he definitely play ahead of Dinesh Karthik. There's no doubt about it. But he'll have to, there's a lot of one-day cricket to be played before. That's the thing. I mean, because he's been so great, and what he's achieved over his career, sometimes. But you still got to look at what he's been doing over the last couple of years, and whether that's working for the team. Yeah, when the top 3 play, you don't realize it as much. But when those guys don't get the bulk of the runs, that's when you've got to see whether he has the ability or someone else has better ability than him. You don't know. I mean, I'm not a big fan of just deciding that yes, he's going to be there no matter what. And goes for everyone, not just MS Dhoni, but because of what he's achieved over his career. It's been talked about a lot more but you've got to see current form because eventually that is going to affect the team more than anything else.
Yeah, purely from a team management point of view, Hodgie, is it now too close to a big tournament to even consider a change of personnel given the work, the experience that I know you're a fan of experience, but or is it still, if you're looking purely objectively for the sake of the team, that yes, everyone's position is still up for grabs, and if there is a case for a Rishabh Pant to come in or any other batsman to come in place of MS Dhoni, that call should be made objectively?
Yeah, well, I think that's you got to work out what sort of role that he's going to play. Exactly what Rohit was talking about. Where's the best place for him to suit, and where's his best batting opportunity, and then work out who else is in contention for that role. If he's going to bat higher up, then I think Rishabh Pant might be a better option. If he's going to bat deeper, number 7 and play that role, which Australia's trying to get Glenn Maxwell to play, then I think Dhoni's the man. And just keep that role, just for him, and just say, mate, if you're going to make 30 off 20 balls, then we're happy with that. We don't need anything extra. We don't need any super heroic stuff. We just need a strike rate of 110. Get us to the end of the innings and we're sorted. So, but I do like in big tournaments having that experience around just to help out Virat Kohli as well. He's a pretty calm character, so that's important, and that can also get you a little bit. But you have to perform. The bottom line is professional sports about being as performance, and we need to take into account or have a look at his past performances and what's he's going to bring in the next 14 games. But it's never too late, no.
All right. Usually when we talk up one player so much and question place in the team, he ends up having a man of the match performance. So
yeah, I mean, I hope for India's sake he does, because I mean nobody wants him to fail.
Of course.
He's been a great player for India, and you hope that he comes good. At the moment, though, it doesn't look like it.
Okay. Now, Hodgie points out that what role do they want MS Dhoni to play? Much like the question being asked of Glenn Maxwell in the ODI team for Australia at this point. I didn't get too much to play in the last game, but we know the kind of player Glenn Maxwell is. So that question was something that was posed to both Alex Carey, Aussie vice captain and keeper, as well as Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, regarding Glenn Maxwell ahead of this game at the Adelaide Oval.
He's had lots of opportunities up the top of the order before, and I guess, like I said the other night, having him in the sheds ready to go when there's 3 overs to go, it means we've done something right through the middle and the top order. So, you could argue the point he should be batting high. Personally, sitting next to him, ready to go with 3 overs to go, it's pretty exciting to have that power hitting later in the innings. He doesn't need too many balls to make a big impact, and you got Stoinis there. You saw what he did, and you saw what Peter Handscomb did through the middle. So I guess you can argue the point he could bat anywhere in that side, and all of our players really.
See, personally, I was thinking that he could come up the order. When Stoinis come, I was expecting him to come up. So I mean, it's their call. So we can't say anything on that.
Just looking at similar numbers for Glenn Maxwell as we saw for MS Dhoni position-wise. Now, the case of Glenn Maxwell is perhaps different. You have to just look at strike rate and match situation. We know the kind of ability Glenn Maxwell has. Hodgie, will that last innings where Australia's batting came together and put up gave a decent account of themselves, will that give the team management a little more confidence to say maybe we can play around with this and have Glenn Maxwell in earlier depending on situations? Or is this a good template for him? You keep him at 7 no matter what. If he happens to get 5-6 balls in innings, then well, no problem, because the top order's done their job.
See, the problem is I'm a huge supporter of Glenn Maxwell, and he's always comes under criticism when he does move up the order to try and have so much of an impact where others have failed. And then he's the one that gets criticised for throwing his wicket away or pushing too hard. I think that he should just be left at 7 or left at 5 or left at 6 and just given an opportunity to play his role and do his job the best he possibly can. And if he puts together those statistics that we just saw, then you can't be dropped. Whenever you average 35 or 33 with a strike at 122, that's a massive impact in the game, no matter what you do. So for me, I'd like to see him just stay in one position, whatever the team management chooses, but don't use him as a flexible person. You've done that before, and he's the one that's first dropped out of the side, and he's the one which cops the criticism. Yes, you have to do the team things, but for his sake, he just needs to understand his role and play it as best he possibly can and give him the best opportunity for success. Because when Glenn Maxwell's succeeding, it's going to help Australia. So they need to work that out. So I just like if they've made that choice, mate, you're going to bat at 7, just do as best you possibly can. If you face one ball bad luck. It means the top order's done well. If you face 50 balls, it means the top order hasn't done their job anyway. So for me, it's a bit of a catch-22. Just let him play his own role, play his game, and then we can judge that at the right time.
Very well. Quickly having a word on India's bowlers. Bhuvneshwar Kumar, you heard there ahead of this game. Now, come back for Bhuvi too of sorts. Not much cricket for him, and this is going to be another test for a fast bowler. He's not quite making his way in the 11 of the test team. 2 for 66 in the last game. And in fairness, a few of them look like they've not had cricket for a while. Bhuvi, perhaps
I think he's been with the team, but he's not had cricket. Even before that, he's carrying a little bit of a back niggle. And no Bumrah at the other end makes a huge difference. I mean, when the guy bowls as well as Bumrah does from the other end, there are always opportunities for Bhuvaneshwar Kumar to then take wickets. Bowled in the afternoon as well in the first game, so wasn't a lot on offer in terms of movement, which he thrives on. Still got Aaron Finch out, so yeah, I think he'll be better off the more he bowls, unless the back sort of niggle is still hanging around. Yeah, he's an important member for Indian team to start doing well.
Shami takes the new ball today ahead of Siraj for you?
It seems that way. I think Siraj is, you would think so. I mean, Shami was, is bowling as well as I've seen him bowl. So, and he always creates wicket-taking opportunities. So I hope so.
All right. Quick look at the Fab 4 rules that we make Ajit and Hodge go through. The scoring system: runs and wickets will get you points. 50s, 100s. And 3 and 5 wicket hauls get you bonus points, extra bonus for the best economy of the day. We've been playing this through the course of the test series if you've been watching ESPN Cricinfo Match Day, and points also in a fantasy system for catches and direct hits and other runouts too. Expert with the most points at the end is the winner. So let me start with Brad Hodge. Seems to be doing so well in this game. Why don't we have him take first pick? Hodge, you got your 4?
Yeah, I'll go with Shikhar Dhawan, Virat Kohli, Kuldeep Yadav, and Usman Khawaja.
Yeah, that's a lot of confidence in Australia. 3 Indians. Well done, Hodge. Ajit?
Oh, I'm going to go with Alex Carey. Who's there? Kuldeep. God, it's been tough to pick this. Richardson.
Okay, Jai Richardson.
Yeah, and whoever left out.
Are you looking for an Aussie or an Indian?
No, got to be Rohit Sharma, isn't it?
Okay, in the kind of form that he's in. Thank you, Ajit Agarkar. Thank you, Brad Hodge. Get their thoughts at halftime on ESPN Cricinfo Match Day, presented by Maruti Suzuki. Download the ESPN Cricinfo mobile app for ball-by-ball updates. We'll see if Australia can once again put on a formidable score like they did in the first ODI.